Item number 1. We'll get rolling right away. And we do have one additional thing on item number 7. If you're following at home or here in the audience, that'll be a tree trimming issue, which our engineer will bring us up to date on when we get there. Anyway, item 1 is an event application for the Tour Lakes. We have a completed application and a memo. Anything else we need to know on this?
Really nothing else. I think in the memo, the only concerns that were raised by staff were from the police department, and that was related to traffic control at 2 of the intersections. So our recommendation would be to approve the application subject to coordinating the traffic control with the police department.
Perfect. This is the Tour of Lakes bicycle ride. Any questions from either of you? Is there, yeah, yes, no? Motion to approve?
Yes.
I'll motion.
All right, move to approve. Hilgard?
Second.
Second by Borgenhagen. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. There, look at that. One under the belt. Appeal of a rental registration late fee. This is at 511 J Street. Brexton S. Pearl. Anything you want to add, Jeff?
Nothing we need to add. There are representatives in the audience to speak to the appeal, but I think we attached all the all the documents related to the late appeal.
Anybody here from the person who's making the appeal? Come on up. Tell us your story. Give us the 2-minute version, please. Yep.
My name is Mark Pearl, and actually this should be related to my wife Leah because it's in her name.
Okay.
And the long and short of it is, we had purchased this back in, I think it closed just after the first week of July. We were going to sell it on a contract to our daughter. It has not happened yet, but she was taking care of the paperwork and property, learned how to do that. We received a letter. I think the first one was dated August 29th. I'll be honest with you, I did not follow on this, which I should have. Then another one dated September 15th. And just before this letter got here, and I don't know exactly when we received it, we moved out of our house just south of Brainerd, moved into Brainerd. So we had our mail forwarded to an office here in Brainerd. I did not follow it. She finally got the paperwork, my daughter did, sent it in, and I forget what she called that.
I think it was in December. The actual application was submitted, yes.
With what she thought was a late fee of $54, $57, and it was returned because at that time apparently it went up to almost $500. So all I can tell you is I didn't keep up on it. I was trying to teach my daughter how to do that. I take some of the blame. I know that we should pay a fine, but I'm hoping we don't have to pay $500.
Okay.
That's the long and short of it, and I won't let it happen again. I'll keep an eye on it.
What is your current address, Mr. Pearl?
809 19th Street Southeast.
Okay, I just have to ask you that because we tape everything and we're on TV and stuff. Okay. Any questions for Mr. Pearl? Okay, thanks, Mr. Pearl.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Anybody else wish to speak on this appeal? Okay, hearing none. You have a recommendation from staff is that to reject the appeal and require the payment of the late fee, which is $450, Mr. Engineer?
Correct. It's the original registration fee, which I believe was $32 plus the plus the late fee.
Okay. Either of you care to make a motion on this? Hopefully.
I see their point of the fee is steep and not receiving the notices. You said you didn't receive the notices firsthand?
Not right away because, as I said, we sold our house second week of July and we were out home at another place for almost a month and a half, so the mail didn't get there. And like I said, my daughter was handling it. I'm not going to throw her under the bus, but I should have kind of kept an eye on this.
I can't find it. It's 400? Oh, 450.
482 is the total.
482 would be the total with the registration.
It seems like there are some extenuating circumstances here. So I'd be tempted to, be a little soft on it, but it is what it is. It seems to me, well, I don't know. I suppose if I was in his chair, I'd probably be in here too, asking some kind of. So the softy in me is saying, what if we considered something between $300?
Sue, is that a motion?
That's a motion.
All right, that's total.
300 plus the license fee? You reduce it by
Well, plus the-
150?
Yeah.
So the total would be 332. Because,
Raise it.
okay. Sue?
Oh, you're asking me.
Second.
Why?
I just thought it'd be nice to have in the
Just because
for future.
I see his point that they kind of got stuck in between
Okay.
timing wise, and Brainerd is such a lovely city
And
that
it's a steep jump between 150 and 450.
Okay. Sue, are you seconding the
I
motion?
did second it, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to speak against it because you don't get to respond at this point, and I apologize. You had your shot, and it's strictly because I think it's steep on purpose, and it isn't steep initially. And I know you guys lost. There's all kinds of reasons why you didn't pay it, but without that, then next time there'd be all kinds of reasons, and next time. And the fines are put there, and they're put there to incrementally go up, so you'll pay it. And here you are. Now it's time to pay it, and that might be cruel, but we get told time and time again, and there's a lot of people here to discuss the rental housing business, and it's a business, and it might be something you do for fun on the weekends, but it's still a business, and I have all kinds of licenses and fees, and I have to pay, and when I have to pay them to the state of Minnesota, and they're not there on time, they're not friendly and they're not nice. And but I understand your motion, and so I think that's fantastic. And so we will vote. All in favor of Chip's motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. So the motion will go with the reduced for the rest of the council for $300 plus the $32 original fee. I'll vote against it. I don't know what the rest of the people will do. But if 4 of us vote in favor of Chip's motion, which we'll let him make, then you get $150 Brainerd's a nice city to live in reduction. So, okay.
the point that is
Yeah.
well taken is one of setting a precedent that if we're a nice guy today, then we should be a nice guy tomorrow and the next day and the next day, and at some point and I'm starting to get that.
It makes it harder. Our fence ordinance, which is coming up here pretty soon, part of the reason that's been on the agenda, and it's been important time and time again for staff to get that known is, we don't have a council meeting sitting up here at the window. We got a person who has to take a rental license and a late fee or not. And the ordinance says $450. So anyway, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that I try and stick to be consistent.
Yep.
Item 3 is improvement 1415, the airport utility extension. There's a pretty nice write-up in our packets from, who is it from? Jeff Alsether, regarding the request for qualifications and the 4 engineering firms that were mailed those out. We also happen to have our airport liaison here if you have any questions. 2 of the firms, SEH and WSN, elected to submit jointly. One of them did not respond, and the other one was Bolton and Mank. Mr. Engineer, anything you want to add to your letter from the 26th?
Well, I think the memo states everything. The result, or the end result of the committee process was essentially a recommendation to the council that that staff be authorized to move forward with discussing a scope of services and negotiating a fee for those services with the SEH WSN team for that project.
Okay, so the recommendation from staff is to accept the
committee's
Yeah,
recommendation.
the committee's recommendation, which would be the SEH and WSN team. Is there a motion to approve, or you can make a motion, do whatever you want?
I would motion to approve.
Perfect. A motion by Borkenhagen. Is there a
Second.
second? Second by Hilgard. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. These all go, just as so y'all know, these all go to as recommendations to the council. So we're actually not choosing the engineer for that project. We're making a recommendation to staff. So this is where we have the little bit of extra time to talk about it, whereas sometimes on the council floor we don't. Because I think there's people here to speak on 812 Juniper, and we've got 3 quickies. If you don't mind, I'm gonna just throw that one at the bottom, and then we'll finish up with anybody who wants to talk about 812 Juniper. We've got some stuff in our packet which we'll tell you about, and if you haven't seen, and then if you've got something that you want to add, we've got till 7:15 before we have to move on to the council meeting. Mr. Sheeler has told me that at the council meeting, when this comes up, you will also have an opportunity to speak there to the entire council. So just because we're running a little short tonight doesn't mean that we're going to cut anybody off on this subject. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go 5, 6, 7, and then we'll get those 3 done. Item 5 is the right-of-way encroachment policy. This is something that we've been working on for many, many months. Mr. Oscar put together an example based on what we asked him to do. Any of you have any questions? I had a chance to talk to him about it, but of course I kind of crafted it, so I know what it. One thing that I did talk, and maybe Mark can explain this. There's one of the 2 from last fall actually does get to keep their fence. Is that correct, Mark?
Well,
That's what you saw.
yeah, I did. The property on the east side of 19th Street has had a fence in the right-of-way historically. And, yeah, they did some work to it. However, we are setting an October 1st date as a date by which we want to move forward. So the fence on the east side of 19th Street should be allowed to remain. The fence on the west side of 19th Street, if they can prove that it went up before October 1st, they can keep it as well.
Any questions of Mr. Oscar? I think the important thing here is probably not so much whether that split rail fence, which is the first one gets to stay. I think the important thing is the direction to staff that the council is going to say, at this moment in time, we are going to enforce our ordinance. If we decide to let one go, we decide to let one go. That could happen. Every single person could conceivably come forward with a fence in the right-of-way or something else in the right-of-way. But we're saying, at least as far as today, we're enforcing the ordinance, and here's some text amendment to give that some teeth, that we mean it. The fence ordinance itself isn't that old, and so there's a lot of fences, and I think these 2, I'm not sure if these 2 fall into the ancient history. No.
One does.
One does. Yeah. So there are some. Now, we've run into circumstances where the the road isn't straight in the right-of-way, too. I mean, there is things that come up that are crazy. So, do you like it? If you like it, let's motion to move it up to council.
I'll move.
All right, move to
Second.
approve as is by Hilgert, second by Borkenhagen. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I vote all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That carries on. Item 5 was a Buffalo Hills Trail cleanup. Jeff, is there any? 6, I'm sorry.
No, other than last week there was some discussion about that. We talked about it a little bit this morning at our department head meeting. Obviously, with our lack of snow this year, we're having some additional time to do maintenance items. Number 7 is one of those maintenance items where we're out brushing, so doing some brushing work around the trail would, I think, will be our next, project. So if I can just announce that we are aware that there's some interest in having deadfall and other things brushed adjacent to the trail, and we'll, if weather allows us to get to that, we'll certainly get to it.
Shooting for the next 30 days, Jeff?
Yes, yep.
All right. That's just an FYI. And Casey, do you have any questions? Nope. And just thanks to the citizen who brought this to our attention. We try and catch everything, but we sure can't. And that is one beautiful trail.
That's very nice.
Very nice. Okay, tell us about tree trimming.
Okay, that's one of the maintenance jobs that we haven't been able to do for a few years due to our snow. So we've been out trimming items in the right-of-way that are overhanging the curb. We do have an ordinance that prohibits trees from overhanging the curb by a height of less than 14 feet, and that is so that we can operate our street sweepers and other equipment right up adjacent to the curb without the branches knocking the lights and other equipment off the top of the equipment. So winters, when we have light snowfall, we do try to trim those overhanging items both in the streets and alleys. We did receive a complaint from a property owner, I believe at the corner of 10th and Grove, related to some trimming. There's some photos. Everyone should have a copy of some photos. There's an aerial photo, Google photo, looking at the property from both directions, and you can kind of see the branches overhanging the curb. So when our crews encountered this, they trimmed it. The photo that shows the fence is in the right-of-way. It's about 5 feet in back of curb and well within the right-of-way. Likewise, the box elder tree that is shown there is also well within the right-of-way. The volunteer branches that were cut coming off the base of the tree were overhanging the fence and overhanging the curb. So to make it appear nice, instead of hacked off, our crew just cut them right at the base of the tree. Again, the property owner was upset about that and asked to be on the committee agenda this evening. So I'm not sure if that property owner is here.
Is the property owner here? Okay. Jeff, did the property owner say what they wanted us to do?
No, didn't really ask for any particular remedy. I think the tree's in questionable health. There's portions of the top of the box elder that are dead. And I didn't talk to the property owner, Jesse did, but it sounded as if, almost as if the property owner perhaps wanted some of this volunteer growth to continue to grow so that they could take the tree down at some point. But from from my experience with box elders of that type, when those volunteers kind of grow out of the roots, that's all they ever are. It's just that low stuff. They never produce a tree again.
You know,
Did you
I
have a
don't.
name?
Do we have the property owner's name?
I believe it's Wheeler.
Just in case
Yep.
comes later. Thank
Yep,
you.
I believe it's Wheeler.
At this point, any other questions? I mean, I don't know what to do because they haven't asked us to do anything. But this does now, I'm going to ask this, could relate to the previous text amendment on the encroachment. You just said these are both in the right-of-way.
Yes.
I don't know if we, I don't know if we're looking for dates. I would guess the tree looks like it was probably there some length of time, but the fence?
Certainly. Fence, I know the fence was there back when we reconstructed North 10th Street some 4 years ago.
So we'll presume.
So it's been there for a
All
while.
right. Okay. David, no further questions. We'll put that in the file until further advised. All right, that's it. We're going to go back to 812 Juniper. Just a little FYI. There's some stuff in the packet, and I don't know if. Hang on. Everybody in the audience has seen it. But the one thing that's not in our packet is we did receive written advice from our attorney. Did you two see it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you've seen it. It is confidential, and it recommends that we continue to work through the ordinance process, just as he said 2 weeks ago. He just put it in writing. So, in case you wondered, we got it. Otherwise, what's in our packet is a letter from Mr. Cahy talking about some appearance issues, including a window. A letter from Chief McQuiston. I believe it's a copy of, or it's an FYI on the letter that went out on the 13th to the property owners regarding the incidents on the 4th. Cites that as a second instance of disorderly use of a rental property. A letter dated the 13th, that's a copy of the letter to the property owners, and then some police department issues from the 4th regarding police officers who had been at the property. Also a letter from the property owner another letter from the police chief to the property owner. Golly, what was this one about? This was from an incident back on November 1st, an initial complaint report. And that's what's in tonight's packet. Do either of you have any comments on anything that you'd like to see happen before I open the microphone and let anybody speak about this property?
Is there
Yes,
a timing issue of when the items that were discussed and agreed upon are going to be completed?
You're referring to the management plan?
No, not specifically. The first issue is from Tim Cahy.
Building
about
issues.
building issues.
Okay.
The second one, in regard to their written plan, which we received, there's just some other items that they need to follow up on the plan, too. That would be useful to know that timetable.
Right now, the items that they identified, certainly repairing the window at the front of the building, the property owner agreed to cover it until they can get it replaced. So right now with the repair, it's not technically not in violation of our ordinance. So they've worked out more of an agreement to get it replaced as soon as practical in the spring. With respect to some of the other stuff, again, the appearance of the exterior portion of the structure is, it's a poor appearance, but again, technically not a violation of our ordinance. So again, the property owner has agreed to move forward with a project in the spring to improve the appearance, but again, we'll have to wait till spring for that.
The only question that I have, one thing that keeps occurring in the letters that we get from citizenry is a concern that the door is always open. Front door is
Yep.
always open. And I don't know, that's probably not within our jurisdiction to enforce somehow.
Scott,
talk about it,
no,
right,
it's,
somewhere about it.
again, that's not a violation, but Scott did talk to the property owner about that. And even though it's not in the memo, but they did talk about some sort of a locking mechanism to make sure that door would stay
And then-
shut.
Yeah, and then after that information, we got a letter stating a date that the door was left open again.
2 or 3 days in a row
And that was
last
after
week.
that conversation had happened. Just, I don't know.
Jeff, is the door open a violation of any
No.
city
No.
codes? It's not.
It's not the door doesn't open into one of the residential
Right,
units.
right.
It opens into a patio, and then there's doors that are locked and secured from there. So we require that each unit have a door that is capable of being locked and secured.
How about parking on the sidewalk?
Parking on the sidewalk is a violation.
Now, I don't know if that citizen who sent the picture called the police. You know, Corky's not here.
First I've heard of it. So
They sent it to the police, so, I mean, Corky was aware of it. I don't know
Okay.
that he followed.
We don't know what happened
Nope.
on that. So. Okay. We're done with our official business, and I apologize. We've only got 5 minutes left, but out of respect, we do have a guest speaker at 7:15, and we're all anxious to get that person as much time as they want to. Remember, you will have time during the city council meeting also to give us your thoughts, anything you want on this property. I say anything you want, within reason, please. I'll try and be here. So if you've got something you'd like to say, we've got 5 minutes left. All you need to come forward. You have to state your name and your address because we are taping in on TV, and let us know what you have to think as to what whatever you'd like to.
Thanks, John Przinski, 13792 Baxter, Minnesota, Olivewood Drive. But I'm here as a parent of St. Francis. Just some of these are, one, we want to thank you for the action that you took as far as approving the building inspector last meeting. That was a positive step. One of the things that we did want to do in this meeting, though, was just some points of clarification. There's been some in the Brainerd dispatch, some items that have been in there. We want to just clarify it, not that we believe it's wrong, but just to clarify. So from January, before the shooting, from January 2012, there were 57 separate incidences where the police were called with regards to 812 Juniper. Is that accurate? And when I say this, Rick, some of these you may not know the answer, but we're just trying to clarify. So my understanding there was 57. All right. So from there were 7 letters that were issued from November 2012, separate from the shooting that occurred on January 4th. Can anybody confirm that? If there were 7,
approximately correct. I
there
don't
were
have the
7
numbers.
physical letters that were sent. So it's not like this was brand new news to the landowner that there was a problem at 812 Juniper. So out of there, then, from what Mr. Bevins said, January 4th of the shooting, a letter was sent, which is classified as the second letter because it fits the notification requesting a written plan. That's accurate. A letter went out with regards to the shooting.
I can just check that date. I think the letter was dated the 13th.
13.
The 13th, but it was in reference to January 4th.
Yes, sir.
Was there a letter sent out on the January 5th incident involving a knife? There was no letter. Will there be a letter sent out with regards to the knife incident, or was that a non-incident?
They're in the process, and under our ordinance, they were in the process of receiving the information, following up on their second. So
Okay.
going forward from the 23rd, that's where the timeline starts for the next 18 months.
Okay, so there was no letter about the 5th, but there was a letter sent out about the January 6th incident, which was the break-in.
Yes, I think I've seen that one.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't have
Okay.
it here, so.
All right. And then just, and I appreciate Councilwoman Hildebrand asking the question, which is what we would also ask. So there was a written plan submitted, but it sounds like there was no timeline to complete anything.
Well, it didn't look like it in the plan.
I would concur with you. I would agree with you 100%. Chief McQuestion got a verbal commitment, I understand, to fix the door, but in that there was no time of completion. Then on the 27th, once again, as recognized, there was the building inspection. But there's no real timeline as to say this has to be completed.
Correct.
Okay.
If I can, typically if we have violations
Right.
of the ordinance, we give people 30 days to remedy those. But we don't have any technical or issues that are specifically violations of the ordinance.
Okay, so right now there is no penalty, there is no timeline. If nothing
For
is
the building inspection items that you had discussed, yes.
Okay. Okay, other than that. All right, well, those are what, obviously, we're concerned about the public safety with regards to 812 Juniper. That's why we're all here. We're going to continue to watch 812 Juniper. We're going to continue to report 812 Juniper. Our concern, just as you talked about with the door was open. After talking to Chief McQuestion, right, he verbally said, I'm going to fix the door. Yet for days during Catholic Schools Week, when we had all the visitors coming, the door, in our opinion, it was defiance and neglect to what was reported to the city council. He said, yeah, okay, I know it's an issue, I'll fix it. But yet, it continued to be a problem. Same pieces as the car parked on the driveway, or on the sidewalk. It's a concern to us because it occurred right as school was closing. So a child could have been hit just as easy as anything else. Those are problems. We'll address more. I know we've got a timeline. I want to respect that, but I wanted to get it on the record and ask those questions because I think they all play into the repeated, just neglect at 812 Juniper that has escalated to this point. Thank you.
Thanks, John. We're 7:16, so I'm going to hand it over to our council chair. Thank you, Mr. Sheeler. Thank you.